Tribes of Midgard Season 3 is here, the brand new survival mode, and that's what this starter guide is going to focus on today. If you're still having a bit of trouble with Saga mode, go and check out some of my older content. We do have a new Saga boss, but most of my videos are geared about what better classes there are, how to unlock them, and all sorts more. 36 videos helping you out, so go and check out that playlist, which you'll find in the comment section down below. For now though, here's how you survive in survival mode. You can take the game at your own pace, but if you want more directions, then obviously go and tap on the standing stones here, and it will tell you what current giant or Jotun that you should be focusing on. The first giant that you do have to face off against is John Saxa. The map will only show one giant at a time. In this case, John Saxa. Once I've defeated her, it will show Halogi. Stick close to the tree of life. You'll notice it's just below the standing stones. It immediately repairs some of your health, and it can be pretty useful, especially if you get attacked by random creatures. It's a good idea to build your first encampment close to this tree to gain that extra life. Every time you see that blue pulse, that's replenishing your health. If you're watching older videos of Tribes of Midgard, it might say that tree of life has to be protected. That is only in Saga mode. In the brand new survival mode, you don't have to worry about your tree being attacked, nor any of the giants attacking your bases. That was the previous survival game mode as well. It's just there as a start, a little help for you to get used to the game, build out your little settlement, and have something to help replenish your health till you unlock potions. But that will be a while later. Until then, you're going to have to rely on food. Let's not get too ahead though. First, we've got to put down our encampment, and that's where the Allforge comes into it. You can replace it anywhere you want, pick it up. Only one player has one at a time though. You can place the Allforge down and dismantle it whenever you want. It won't affect any of your other construction pieces in the game. It simply really is a case of you being able to bring it with you if you want to repair tools, or you're about to go to a new location and start crafting brand new benches. That's because whenever you dismantle anything, you only get some of the resources back. You won't be able to just pick it up. The exception to that is the Allforge, of course, which doesn't require any resources to craft. You'll notice you can rotate your camera. It can be good, but it does mess up the mini HUD or the mini map in the top left corner. Small thing, but obviously it doesn't rotate with you, so it looks like you're going in one direction, but on the mini map you're going in another. So a quality of life feature, hopefully it'll add, or maybe it's in the options. But there you go. You can build up your bases quite tall. You just need to build up 4 or 5 levels and then start stacking on top. I've already done a building and crafting guide, so I won't go over it too much because it obviously tells you what to craft in terms of benches. But yeah, you do want to get a tool grinder first so you can get some tools to actually gather resources properly, as you can only pick up flint, grass and some sticks until you get the weapons to go for the iron and the big stone, as well as chopping down trees. So try not to venture too far, especially when it starts getting close to night time. Hell things will still appear. Previously, or in Saga mode, these will attack your tree, but as I said, they don't do that now. Instead though, they will just be spawning randomly around you, so you have got to be wary. They're pretty tough early. In fact, the early game of survival mode is much tougher than it used to be. Eventually, once you gather enough resources, you'll get Muff XP, which is the yellow bar. The purple bar is your season XP. So pretty much every now and then, you'll gather certain resources where you'll get 250 XP, you'll kill enemies and you'll get 500 XP, and that actually goes towards your season or your reward track. But the yellow XP is a bit different. You get XP for everything you do, gathering resources, killing enemies, picking up stuff. So when the yellow bar is full, that's when you get a blessing point. There's over 90 blessing points. There are no classes like in Saga mode or the previous survival mode. Instead, you can mix and match a lot more. You will have to spend quite a few blessing points to unlock some of the later ones, but there are over 90, and you should be able to max upgrade your character 50 times. So bear that in mind, that is 50 ways that you'll be able to unlock blessings. Doesn't look like there's any way though to reset your blessing points unless it's something I've not come across yet. So be careful, take a good look at them and see which ones suit your playstyle. As long as you built your base close to the tree of life, you won't need a bed as you respawn at the standing stones. So I would actually focus on getting as many of the crafting benches unlocked as possible. And there is a little order that I've said in my other video, which you can find in comments down below. But pretty much gather and get enough resources to get all the benches before you start getting more decorative items or things like the bed and the bonfire. It does get pretty cold, but you won't need the bonfire until a couple days in, when nighttime starts to get a little bit more chilly. Just like in the previous game modes, once it gets to sort of day 13, 14, it's going to get really super cold and you'll need armor, maybe even elixirs to keep the cold at bay. Or certainly that's when you want to make sure you've always got some sort of bonfire or brazier on you, just in case it does get a bit too cold. If your weapon breaks but you're desperate for that one more tree, don't forget you can use your special moves to get some of the resources. It even works in stone as well. So build up your special moves by pretty much taking on all sorts of enemies. There is still a 100-day challenge in survival which you're meant to get to, and that's really the main aim of survival mode, or just chilling out and getting enough resources to build a base and obviously take on all of the giants. But giants aren't the only thing you can take on now. There are the saga bosses in here. They've been renamed ancients and they're going to take a lot of work to get to, but yeah, you won't be able to maybe do it until you've taken on some of the giants first. So yeah, I would avoid making a base just yet. You want to find a great location. It doesn't have to be near a tree. Eventually, like I said, you can find other items that will help with that in replenishing your health, especially food. Now you don't need food actually to survive. It just gives you buffs or replenishes your health, but you won't die just because you've not eaten. And there's no water consumption in the game either. A big change between this survival and previous modes is that potions aren't freely as available as they used to be, unless you find a trader. If there's a trader next to you, you will be able to buy some potions. Otherwise, you won't be able to craft your own until much later, as there's lots of resources behind them that you're going to need to get first. Likewise, some of the base upgrades are locked behind level 2 and 3. That's why I say hold off a little bit. Just build the camp parts that you want. Maybe think about building on top of a cliff, and use a lot of the natural surroundings to give yourself extra protection. Enemies can't usually jump up cliffs, but they can jump down. So check that the cliff doesn't have any spawning enemies, and it can be a great place to put all of your campsite stuff. Or eventually when you do decide to have a proper base. Your base can be attacked by other creatures and mobs that spawn, but it's not something they'll always do. And it's not as concentrated as it is in the saga mode or the previous survival mode. An old but gold tip is to go ahead and demolish some of these fences that you'll find blocking off new areas or high level areas, as these often give you some more of the advanced materials that you can use to get some of the upgrades for your crafting benches. Don't forget to check your journal. This will give you an indication of where to get every resource in the game. Some resources only spawn at night, where the trees will pretty much have a glowing berry instead of the regular one. Likewise, there are things like mushrooms that give you thunderbolt mushrooms at night time instead of just the regular oily mushrooms. There are no fast teleportation stones in survival mode anymore, so you're going to have to actually craft your own, and again it's something you won't be able to do until you've defeated Jun-Saksa. So be a little bit more wary. You're going to have to make sure that your cooldown, where you can click the right stick in, that teleports you back to the base, but like I said, it's got a cooldown, so you want to make sure you've always got one available if you are going to go on a pretty far adventure. The brand new spears are pretty OP at the moment as well, so I definitely recommend getting one of them, and they're pretty easy to craft, only you need in wood. Otherwise, good old trusty reliable bow is great, as you can often kill a lot of enemies without them coming near you, as long as they're pretty close to off screen. Just like you can use your special abilities to get resources, if you run out of durability on a weapon or a tool, well don't worry, maybe kite some enemies around. You can see these wolves demolishing all of the trees around you. You still get souls from killing creatures and harvesting resources, but what do you do with them now, since you don't use them to upgrade NPCs? Well, you pretty much spend them at traders, so still make sure you pick up as many as you can. Obviously you get more souls for defeating elites as well as the giants. And just like the regular game, if you die you're going to lose up to 75% of your souls. It used to be 100, but it's a change they've implemented for this season. If you're not an experienced player and drives a Midgard, you don't want to be going anywhere near the bogs or swamps until you've got some armour and maybe some decent weapons. But you do need silver to go ahead and upgrade and get a few of the crafting benches to a good level. So make sure you do get a chance, run round, and if you come across any enemies that look too tough, simply run away. Another little feature is that when you kill certain creatures now, they may drop a little yellow orb, and this is a healing orb. So it basically gives you a nice little tiny bonus to heal, as I can see I needed it here. I had massive problems respawning. I kept getting stuck on my head. It's because I built my ceiling too low. It has to be 3 high to stop that happening. You do want to kill as many hellthings as you possibly can during the night, as they drop the hellthing nails, and this is what you're going to need to craft dark arrows or certain dark weapons, and that's what you make life easier when taking on Jun-Saksa, the first giant. So balance it well. If it looks like you're about to die, run away, but otherwise try and kill as many hellthings as possible. I mentioned the trader before. Well, yes, it's procedure generated, so you might be really unlucky and there won't be one nearby, but actually it should have a sorcerer fairly close. They sell potions, they sell maps, and they also sell runes. It seems like runes, the actual amount that you get dropped, have been nerfed a little bit, so you might have to spend a lot more of your souls on runes. This way you can actually customize more. You can also hold up to 30 different runes now and just equip the ones that you want, which is a welcome change from previous seasons, as you always only had room for 5 and meant you had to drop some and leave them to basically despawn. Before you take on a giant, you might want to make sure you've got a potion, but I would actually spend as much of the souls as you can on getting some decent runes first. To access a lot of better weapons and armors as well as building pieces, you are going to need refined stuff. So go ahead and make sure you get the lumber stand as quickly as possible. This will give you the option then to get the mining stand as well as the tannery, and this is how you can get the refined pieces you need. And I mentioned this pretty much in my other video, but there's a problem with stairs as well sometimes. If you try building it directly onto a building you've already done with a wall and a ceiling, it basically gets stuck and you can't jump over. So instead you have to put a ceiling piece as a ladder pretty much running parallel along your base. This means that you can then get on top of your building or go up to the next level easily. Really annoying, but at the moment when you do dismantle something, it will dismantle everything in that square, so you've got to be really careful about what you're doing. So when you get to the point that you've unlocked all the crafting benches you can without having to venture far wide to get brand new resources, that's when you want to focus on getting your armor, making sure you've got a good shield, a decent bow, everything's been repaired at the Allforge, and yes, you've got something that's going to do damage against Jansuksa. Whether or not it's going to be a ton of arrows made out of Dark Souls, or whether or not it's going to be a sword or weapon which has got the soul or the dark power on it. Look what happened when we went a bit unprepared without any of them elemental damage types. We got our asses kicked. The arena she's in means that she won't be able to escape, so it's pretty decent for you that she won't come and follow you. Otherwise, when facing her, the lightning balls here will pretty much do a huge amount of damage if they explode close to you, so you've got to avoid them as much as you can. But sometimes you have to stick around for a few seconds for them to go through their active phase, and then as soon as they start to explode, do a dodge. Another thing to look out for is that totem. That totem will periodically fire lightning down, so you want to take that down as much as possible. But now look at the difference with a Dark Soul bladed weapon. I'm absolutely shredding Jansuksa now. She has two forms. This form I actually find easier to deal with. Although there's more of the explosive orbs, you can still do a huge amount of damage, and it's easier to see when she's about to do any kind of melee strike. So yeah, it's this form when you first start wailing on her that I find a bit tougher. It just seems a bit quicker or easier to get caught by either AoE effects or actual melee hits. If you haven't got any dark weapons or you didn't get any dark arrows, then go ahead and just wail on her with anything but thunder or lightning. Unless you have managed to get yourself a pretty decent weapon, even if it is the same elemental damage as her, as long as it's actually got a higher attack rate than any of your other stuff, it's still going to do more damage. Once defeated, you'll get a piece of her brooch, and this is how you can unlock fast travel points now, so you'll be able to go ahead and craft your own. You gain up to 700 souls or so as well, so it's a good time once you defeated her to go and grab some stuff from the sorcerer or a trader. As I mentioned before, once you return to the stones, you can see that it's now got the Hologi saga listed, but also don't forget to talk to this NPC where you can exchange the trophy for a golden horn. I don't think you use the trophy for anything else, so you might as well just get as many golden horns as possible. And obviously you can spend golden horns on more starter kits and other items for either saga mode or unlocking new runes. The idea is that you can just go and farm these giants over and over again to get more souls. And there we go, that's your first week in Tribes of Midgard and defeating Jansuksa, the first giant. I know some people don't like min and maxing, so you take your time, go and get resources, build a lovely little base. But just make sure it's not on a site where any enemies regularly patrol. And yeah, I would still say wait until you've got at least base defenses or upgrades to level 2 or 3 before you finally start building something epic. Till then, gather as much resources as you can, dump them in the communal chest that you might set up. Don't forget the chests still work like that other people can take stuff from it. And do remember also that you can't actually craft anywhere you want now. You do have to have the items on you, whereas in saga mode anything in the settlement is all shared and you can craft anything you want super quick and easy when it's in the chest. You don't have to keep taking stuff in and out every time you speak to an NPC. So I'm hoping they change that, or they do something. Maybe it's an upgraded chest that will give you that ability. I will be back with more advanced tips and taking a look at base building properly in future videos, as well as a proper guide to all of the giants, where to find them and how to defeat them. So hope you enjoy that. Go and check out all the other Tribes of Midgard content I've done, and I'll see you rat bags later.